Hey stars, it's me, Shot Star, and I'm back. I know this is Thanksgiving week, and I'm hoping everyone is getting together with their families and their friends and their loved ones and have a safe holiday and don't eat too much. Moving right along, I want to again thank you guys for your support too. Thank you for the emails, thank you for the texts, thank you for the calls. Um, I am reading your comments. I am taking it into consideration. Um, I'm going to actually do a video on comments coming within the next week because there's some things I don't think there's a disconnect. And I'll go over that. There's no big deal, no big deal, but we'll get into it. Okay. Um, we're going to, again, I ended my other video and the one with Katt Williams. And I didn't have all the information at the time. I knew that he had purchased a former military base, but I didn't know where, and I didn't know how much he paid for it. And now that some of that information is out, the movie studio, which is going to be now built on a former military base, is in Alabama. He purchased it anywhere between 1.3 and 1.5 million, which is great for what it can be. So we have now Tyler Perry in Atlanta. You have Katt Williams now in Alabama. And if I'm not mistaken, you have 50 Cent in Louisiana, I think. But again, generational wealth. And two of them are moguls already, meaning 50 Cent and Tyler Perry. And now we have a new one coming, Katt Williams. And I have nothing disparaging, anything bad to say about that. It's enough room for everyone, and it's about time now that we don't have to wait for people to okay or green light our projects. We will be able to put out what we need to and what we want to without having the big, just all the conflama, that long conflama with the drama, no middleman. Which we see in Tyler Perry, which meant like during the pandemic, which I thought was the greatest thing, where everyone has shut down and no one was filming and no one was doing anything, rightfully so because of the pandemic. And Tyler Perry, what he did was he brought all of his actors in for his shows, kept them on site. They weren't able to come there and leave. They stayed on site, they slept on site, they ate, everything was done. He had medical personnel there testing every day, but yet his shows kept going. That's why his shows never stopped. They just kept going because that's the power of having your own. So again, I'm happy about that. That's a great thing. And let's see what happens with Katt. Let's see what Katt does. Okay, so we're moving on to Walmart. Now, here in Jersey, we have Walmarts. I don't think New York has Walmarts, but I love a super Walmart, which means I can buy anything from a banana to a car tire in one place at one time. So great. And I'm not a Target person. I am a Walmart person, and there's a difference from what I'm hearing. But nevertheless, Walmart must pay a former driver $35 million because they accused him of fraud and fired him. So a jury in California awarded former Walmart truck driver Jesse Fonseca $25 million in punitive damages plus $9.7 million for future non-economic losses, including enjoyment of life and mental suffering. So they have to pay him $35 million. I think it's a great thing. I think that it's about time that these big corporations and huge companies now have their feet held to the fire to where they think they can do mostly anything. They can get rid of you for whatever. And what happened was they falsely accused this worker of workers' compensation fraud, and they wrongfully terminated him. And that's huge. Because when you accuse me of fraud and then you're talking about workers' comp, you're talking about citywide. It can even be state or even government. It's fraud, regardless. You can go to jail and your life will change forever. Meaning, so no more CDL licenses and all of that. So it actually would have changed his life completely if they would have gotten away with it. So now they have to pay him. And I think it's a good thing. Like I said, it's about time that we have to go to work and do our job. Corporations have a way, they need to learn to protect us, meaning staff. I don't own a corporation of that size or anything. So, it's a good thing, not a bad thing at all. Get your money. So we're going to move on to New York. There's a New York. This is going to be something we're going to have to dig into a little bit, okay? This is a New York autism facility faces abuse allegations after shocking video surfaces. Okay, picture. This is a story. A family that lives in Queens, New York. They have an autistic, nonverbal teenager. Okay, they got to the point where he was growing. He got bigger. I think he started to get violent. Not quite sure, allegedly, but they could no longer control him. So they did what a family should do, meaning they started to research facilities. They actually had choices, and they apparently did their work as far as research and trying to, find out what would be the best facility for their child. And they decided on the Anderson Center for Autism, which is located in Dutchess County, New York. And during their investigation of the facility, before they signed on a dotted line and gave them their kid, they did come up with one. You know how we have reviews, and apparently there was a review of a family that had someone there that was abused, and they were talking about a lawsuit that had occurred some years ago, and the family won because the person, I don't know if it was a teenager or an adult, but they were being abused. So they won this large case, and you never heard anything else from it. So apparently there's a worker from another country. He received a visa to come to the United States to work at the Anderson Center for Autism. So I don't quite know what his role was, but I would assume it had to be pretty good for them to bring him and get him a visa, because when you get a visa, like, I'm sure that Anderson Center of Autism signed off on that visa for him to be here to work. So as long as he worked for them, he could be here. So he was there at least between 1 to 3 months, I assume, and he started to see abuse and seeing that a lot of the patients were being mistreated. So he started to record the abuse as much as he could, I would assume. And he recorded Garnett Collins, who's 50 years old. He's a caregiver at the facility. On more than one occasion, so I figured that's why he decided to record it. It's a video of it. I can't show it, but it's out there, where he picks him up, like scoops him up in between his legs, and he's carrying him, but he's squeezing his genitals to control the boy. I guess he's somewhat out of control at that point, but that's what he's doing. And this is happening on more than one occasion. So this one was recorded. Well, the worker that has the visa from another country sent the video to the family of the teenager, the autistic, nonverbal teenager that this abuse was happening to. And the family immediately jumped in their car, drove there, took their son out, and had the New York State Police come and arrest Mr. Collins, the 50-year-old caregiver. But now first, let's say this. Garnett Collins, the 50-year-old caregiver, was charged with 2 counts of endangering the welfare of an incompetent person, which is a Class E felony, and 1 count of forcible touching because of the way he was squeezing his genitals and causing him pain. Okay, so he was arrested. Now, the whistleblower, the worker that's from out of the country working there on a work visa in this country, was fired. He was fired, and now his visa is in jeopardy of being taken away because, again, he received the visa to come here to work at this facility. So hopefully he'll be able to get a job at another facility that's pretty much equal, that they can help him. I'm not quite sure, but we're really going to, I promise you, I'm going to keep up on this one because we have, a lot of times in families, we have family members that have different types of issues, meaning it can be alcoholism, it can be drugs, it can be autism, it can be just a whole thing, a whole bunch of different things. Sorry, and we take them. We think we found a reputable place, or if we have that choice, meaning money to choose, or they'll go to a state facility where you have no control. So but this particular is a private facility, from what I understand, and one thing I need to tell you is Governor Holcomb, New York governor, just a few weeks ago, I don't even think it was a month ago, praised this particular facility, praised it. The Anderson Center for Autism, she praised them and also gave them a $3 million grant to start another facility. So as I was reading the story and getting and collecting information for it, they reached out to the governor's office on quite a few times, and there's no comment, of course, because she praised them and turned over $3 million of state money to this facility. So they can't be private if the state. So, okay, so turned over $3 million to fund another facility. So somebody has some explaining to do. I mean, again, like I said, we turn them over to what we think is a reputable facility, and they're going to take care of our families. But again, you don't know who these facilities hire. You don't know these people. So if you can, you have to go and check on them, especially in this case where the teenager is nonverbal. So he can't tell you what the issue is. So it's disturbing. But again, we're going to have to, I'm going to follow the story. I'm interested to know where it goes, and I'm going to do it, period. We're going to move over to Bishop T.D. Jakes. I'm sure plenty of you are aware that Bishop T.D. Jakes had a health incident during service this past Sunday. I did watch the video. I will not be showing the video. It's pretty long. Well, long enough. Apparently, he had already preached and he was praying. He had called for offering, and then he went back to praying. And you can see where the mic he's holding to his hands, he's sitting on a stool, and his hand dropped. His eyes are closed as if he was still praying, but his mouth is no longer moving. Nothing's coming out of his mouth. And then you start to see his arm shake. And I instantly thought, I was like, I wonder if he's having a stroke or something. And I really wouldn't be surprised at that. Bishop Jakes is 67 years old. And as most of us know, he's under allegations of this Diddy, puppy, love, whatever we call him right now. They're, questioning him with this. So I'm sure that could be a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things going on out there. I'm not going to repeat it. There's a lot of allegations and a lot of things. And, again, I was raised very religious, and you have to be careful how you speak of a man of God, period, point blank. If you believe he's a genuine man of God or not, regardless of what you think. And you know what? Honestly, we need to be more careful how we speak of everyone, regardless of their title, but especially the man of God. So I'll continue to pray that everything works out, and pray that he has a full recovery. From what I understand, his family is stating that he's home and he's actually mobile and that he's up walking, but you know how that goes. So we'll continue to pray and keep going and see how and what happens. Okay. So we're going to now go to Macy's. Now, I grew up with Macy's and A&S and Abraham, which was Abraham and Strauss to the new generation. Well, Macy's found out that they have a worker that concealed up to $154 million in fake expenses. Yeah, 154 million in fake expensive. That's what this employee was able to get away with. And they did say in the report that it was a matter of years. They didn't say how many years. What they actually said was that they disclosed that an employee cooked the books for years using unethical accounting practices to hide well over $100 million in expenses. And we now know it's 154 million, I believe, right? Yeah. So, yeah, somebody gonna have some explaining to do with that because $154 million, how do you conceal that much money for years and no one ever knows? They it's been such a distraction for the company that the company is delaying a full release of its third quarter earnings, which was scheduled to be released on November 26th. Now they're going to release it in December, hopefully between the 11th and the 15th of December, because now they have to do all this accounting calculations and find out exactly what is gone. And listen, I thought personally stop shopping at Macy's in that manner. I like them for dress shirts for work. I like them for socks, some quick underwear maybe. One thing I would say about Macy's, I ain't never going to take, y'all always have a really popping Ralph Lauren section. Y'all Ralph Lauren section is one of the best, unless you're going to go to the Polo Mansion or go to a real polo store. But as far as Macy's, they get it popping in there. I think the quality, I started to think that it started to go down. And I don't look at it as like, I remember it used to be A&S, Abraham and Strauss, Macy's, then you had Bloomingdale's, Lord and Taylor's, Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom's, you had these stores. I personally think that kind of Macy's kind of, you run in there for something really, really quick. A&S doesn't even exist anymore. So we're going to wait and see what Macy's do when they finally put out this third quarter report. I guess they'll know exactly what's there and what isn't. And yeah, I don't quite know how you can hide that much, but I guess they're not the only ones scamming. Let's move on back to Jersey a little bit. In Jersey, there's a traveling nurse who stole fentanyl 143 times from a New Jersey hospital. Okay. Again, a traveling nurse, meaning she goes from state to state. A lot of them was used a lot during the pandemic. We had a nurses shortage, so a lot of nurses came from other states, which would be traveling nurses. We had nurses from DC. I know it was nurses from California. This particular traveling nurse, he's worked. Sorry, not she. He's worked. And when I say his name is David Schaefer of Florida. He's worked in Florida as a traveling nurse. He's worked in PA as a traveling nurse, and then New Jersey as a traveling nurse. Well, this particular traveling nurse, again, stole fentanyl 143 times in 1 month. Now, I don't quite understand how, and I have some nurses in my family. I have nurses that follow me. I was like, how does that happen? How do they not know that this much medication is missing? Well, this is how he did it. This is how David Schaefer, traveling nurse, stole the fentanyl. He took the vials from the hospital automated medication dispensing cabinets by using an override in the system to bypass a usually required doctor's order. So he knew the system. He knew how to use a bypass to get around it, where normally you wouldn't be able to even get to the fentanyl without having a order, a prescription, whatever. So apparently this is how, but my question is, how do you steal from one hospital 143 times in 1 month, which means every time you went into there, you did it 143 times. So did you take one vial each time or did you take numerous? And even if you took one vial, how do you not, as a hospital, notice that 143 vials at least is missing in 1 month of fentanyl? This ain't aspirin. This isn't Tylenol. This ain't Motrin. This is fentanyl. So, yeah. So now they're searching. They're going back to the hospital in Florida. They're going to the hospitals in PA to see if during the time he was there, what else they can charge him for. Because this wouldn't be the first place that he did it. If he did it here, he did it there too. So, yeah. So that right there, baby, health insurance is so ridiculous. It don't matter if you're the healthiest or the illest. Medical insurance fees coverage. Most of us work. It's horrendous. Unless you work for the state or you work for the government or you work for the city. But in private, it's horrendous. And it goes up every year. And this is part of the reason why. This is because hospitals are also, this is not just fraud or malpractice. This is inside. These are the hospitals and doctors that we depend on to take care of us. These are the people that they're hiring to take care of us that's stealing these things and doing these things. And my interest is also, what was he doing with this much fentanyl? Right? I mean, it made me wonder, what are you doing with that much fentanyl? 143 times in a 30-day period. Nobody missed it until they did. Okay, so let's stay in New Jersey for a minute. Governor Murphy, New Jersey Governor Murphy. Now, I said in my previous video that New York gave businesses the month of November, which is ending very soon, to take down the outdoor structures, the outdoor dining structures, take them down, pay another fee to the city, because now that these outdoor dining structures have been out for years now they are able to say, well, we want them built this way, or we want you to use this material. So there's new rules and regulations and things to it now. So New York has until the end of November, which is a few days, to do that. Well, New Jersey, surprise, our Governor Murphy signed into law yesterday, making outdoor dining for restaurants and bars permanent. He signs the bill to keep the COVID-19 outdoor dining rules permanent. I mean, we get pretty cold out here, of course, in New York, New Jersey, of course. What I will say is there are it's a limited amount of time during the wintertime. I don't even want to. I tried to do an outdoor structure at one point, I believe, last year. And I think we did it in October. And because the weather is a little different than it used to be, because I mean, we're still getting 80-degree days in November at this point. I don't know. I just know that they're not that warm. They have the heating lamps, and it's just a little uneasy for me. Summertime, great. But New York, y'all need to get it together. They are penny pinching you, and it is a man, baby. So, New Jersey, we can keep our outdoor dining permanently. What else can we say? Can't be mad at that, right? Well, that's a good thing. Now, let's see what happens with New York, because that's a huge, huge financial responsibility on the businesses at this moment that have these structures, where they gave them to the end of November to tear them down, pay a new fee, and have them rebuilt during the holiday season. It's the holiday season, you know? So, with that being said, we're going to go to Chicago, okay? Now, good news for a change, good news. A suburban postal worker, you can see him here. I want you to be able to see his face. He has dread. I want you, because I'm saying this for a reason. I want you to pay attention. This postal worker was driving in Chicago on his regular route. Okay. And when he got back in his truck and started to drive, he drove past a man that was an older man. I don't quite know his age, but older than him, I would assume, of course, was walking his dog. And with him walking his dog, the old man fell. And he can see in his rearview mirror, the man didn't immediately get back up. He was attempting, the dog was running around, trying to do whatever. And the man was attempting to get up, but wasn't working out. This postal worker pulled his truck over, got out his truck, went back down the block to where the man was, and the man was trying to get up and asking him to help him get up. And he stated to him, "Sir, I think you should stay down." I think he hit his head when he was bleeding when he hit his head. So the young man told him, "Sit still, don't move too much. You might have other types of injuries." There was no one else outside, so he started to yell out in the neighborhood, and then other neighbors came out. And of course, the man lived in the neighborhood. The man told the postal worker which house it was. He walked while the other neighbors are tending to the man and the dog. He walked to the man's house. He rings the doorbell. They have this on video. I can't show it, but this is all on video. And because our doorbell picked it up, a doorbell camera. And he knocks, rings the doorbell. An older woman answers, which happens to be this man's wife. And he states to her, "Ma'am, do you have an older man that lives here that is not in the house at the moment?" And she stated, "Yes, my husband is out walking the dog." Well, he stated to her that your husband took a fall, and he's hurt. And he's right here. And the other neighbors are tending to him and whatever, and said whatever and walked off. He walked back to his truck, got back into his truck, and did what? Continued his route. No one knew who this mailman was, even though it says it's normal route. So I guess they did some investigating. They did say they went on social media asking and telling the story. And also, I guess they finally went to the post office to find out who's the mail person that was on this particular route. And of course, she has them on her doorbell camera, so she knows what he looks like. And he's being rewarded. Like, the family invited him and his family over for Thanksgiving dinner. He asked them, they met up again. The man thanked him for taking care of him. The man did have extra injuries and things. And they said that this young man is part of their family now, because no one was outside when this man fell. This man would have been out there with his little dog by himself. This man, people now will drive past you, step over you, laying there bleeding or something, act like they don't see it. It's crazy. So this young man does deserve recognition. And if I'm not mistaken, the mayor of the city or somebody's going to give him some type of reward and everything. And that's great. But the bigger picture of it is, they asked him what made him do that. He said because once he saw in his rearview mirror, when he saw the man not get up immediately, he said he was taught to help the elderly, to reach out to fellow men. It didn't matter what the color was, because again, the older man that fell was Caucasian, older man. So I say all that to say, color doesn't always matter. There are great people out there. There are people that are willing to help you. And it's a great thing. And we talk about bad things all the time. This young man needs to be acknowledged in the same way exactly what the family is doing for him. And also, his name is Lockhart, Jalen Lockhart of Aurora, Illinois. And yeah, so let's move on a little bit to Neo, singer Neo. I don't know. I'll tell you, and then let's decide on what it is. Neo is now embracing a polyamorous life. Okay? Meaning, he says that he's embracing the polyamorous life after divorce. He states that monogamy is not for me. Okay. Let's look at this for a second. Monogamy is not for him. And that's fine. I mean, because who am I? I mean, everything isn't traditional anymore at all, period. Well, what I will say is, I wish that he would have embraced this poly life years ago before he got engaged to numerous people and even married someone and had children. Because poly, this is just allegedly, and this is my opinion, he didn't just realize he liked poly. He knew he wasn't monogamous. He wasn't monogamous. He knew that. But why keep involving so much? I'm sure the children are a blessing, but I'm sure that a lot of these women dreamt their life would be different, that they would have known what they were getting into, you know? So, you know, this is the new way of life, people. This is just the way it is. You're hearing it more and more and more. So we have to learn to pretty much, you don't have to accept anything, but you have to respect it. That's the thing. See, people get it mixed up. It's not the matter of you accepting it. You don't have to accept it, but you have to respect it. Respect doesn't mean that you agree, but you're respecting me and giving me the choice to do what I want to do and be who I want to be, whatever that is. Also, since I said this is the new way of life, we have now, of course, Chris Brown. Chris Brown is stating that he's currently in multiple relationships. He did an interview last week where he admitted to multiple relationships. They asked him, was he in a relationship? He says, I'm in multiple relationships right now at the same time. So apparently this is not something that is 1 in 10. It's more like 4 in 10, 5 in 10, maybe. It just is just, yeah. I mean, I'm going to do a chart and I'm going to figure it out. But listen, I'm not going to keep you guys. I love you guys. Listen, we're coming up to a holiday. I'm hoping that you spend some time with your loved ones or some friends, some family. Check on your friends and check on your family. Sometimes a phone call means everything. People are having tough times. People are having hard times. I've been to the grocery store so many times between today and yesterday, and it's horrendous. Horrendous. So, again, I love you guys. Be intentional and have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. I love you guys.